yoga trainer. She is currently working with CGI in Hyderabad. Kavita's passion for CSR started way back, maybe in the late 90s, when she started working with tribal women and children. And I have been quite happy to be associated with her as part of several impactful CSR programs during her 10.5-year stint at Infosys, where she has actually led highly impactful programs benefiting various sectors of the society. One such flagship program, obviously, is MHM, which is the menstrual hygiene management, which earned a lot of appreciation even from Infosys Foundation, as many of you know, led by Mrs. Sudha Murthy. Kavita has been appreciated and she received multiple awards as part of this flagship MHM program that she has been running within Infosys. We call it Suvidha as the brand name for this program. She has won the award of excellence for this, and she has continued to be associated in this stream for long. Her passion, in fact, what I wanted to mention also, she is so passionate about CSR that while in Infosys, she took a sabbatical for 1 year and she focused herself only on the CSR activities across the tribal areas of Telangana, primarily related to this MHM space. Obviously, many other spaces, but MHM has been one of the key ones. And I have not seen too many people like who sacrifice salaries and take up such passionate work in various areas. So I have also been part of some of the programs in tribal areas, like one in Nirmal district, where Kavita created self-help groups for setting up biodegradable napkin manufacturing unit. And it was first of its kind in Telangana, and it had enormous support from Mrs. Murthy and the Infosys Foundation. So over to Kavita for leading this session, and all the best to all of you for the next couple of days.
Thank you so much, Avra, for such a huge and wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful learning curve, definitely. It was definitely a wonderful learning curve in this journey of menstrual health and hygiene. And I would still consider I'm still in the learning phase. I'm still yet to open to learn and grow further, along with volunteers like you who have come forward today. Thank you so much for joining in today. It means a lot to me because all of you have thought of making your first step towards making a difference in this particular field, or a couple of you might have already taken your steps in this field, and we can join together, learn together, and grow up together. So I'm looking forward for this. Now we have named this Institute of Menstrual Hygiene Management. We wanted to make it Menstrual Health and Hygiene. So this comes up under the Health and Wellbeing Tower of HYCIA. And so why are we calling it Menstrual Health and Hygiene? If we can move to the next slide. So menstrual hygiene is more about using clean, safe, affordable materials. It's about the napkins that are being used, or what is the material that is being used, having place for the girls or the women to change whenever it is necessary. And if there is no place for them, then they're not given what is to be given for the girls and the women. Sanitation, washing facilities, there should be availability of soaps and water so that they are able to clean themselves, keep themselves clean during this period, because this is a very delicate period for every woman. And availability of safe and hygienic disposal methods in any premises they are in, either be it school, home, or communities, hospitals, wherever it is very important to have a safe and hygienic disposal. Apart from all these things, if there are any issues, they should be able to reach out to health services. So this is all about hygiene management. So it's all about menstrual hygiene management. What is menstrual health? I think menstrual health covers a larger aspect of it. It is not just the physical aspect. Menstrual health is covering the physical, psychological, and the entire well-being of the woman. It is very important for a woman to feel good and nice during this period because she is going through a very different phase. The estrogen acts very high, and it is important that we understand and take care of her. So the entire well-being is taken care of in this menstrual health part. So every woman or girl is entitled to have accurate, pragmatic information about menstruation. And you have any question for me, Sachin? I didn't hear that. Okay. And then the next point that we have is gender equality. Gender equality, I think we will be discussing further on this. It is very important that all men, it is very important that we all know what is menstrual health so that we can create a gender equal society, so that there is a lot of positive social norms across, and then we don't have any issues around. So emotional and cognitive health will be addressed in the form of menstrual health, and thereby we are empowering and attending to the rights and providing the equality for women and girls. Can we move to the next slide? So why are we doing this MHH? We are doing it because there is no sufficient knowledge as of now. There is not much knowledge. I wouldn't say, I don't want to generalize it. When I started menstruating, I was not aware of what menstruation was about. So I didn't have enough knowledge about what it was, and nor was it discussed. There was always some gaps in between, which was not discussed at all. So, and there are many places, there are the basic wash facilities, which is nothing but water and sanitation, hygiene facility services are not available. It could be either schools, households, or any other health facilities. Lack of awareness about usage of affordable and appropriate materials is something that that makes us feel that it is something to be addressed of. So the positive environment is very important, so that we are supported by all genders, which means the men also in the society, so that all these stigmas, myths, and taboos are eradicated or overlooked. So by attending to all these things, we are going to reach all the human rights, and that is applied to the women who are menstruating, the right to health. She has the right to have the best of the health and know how to handle her menstruation well, right to education, right to work, right to non-discrimination. She is not kept aside because the 5 days has to be taken care and all that. The gender equality in place, and right to water and sanitation. And moving to the next slide, why are we doing this? We have something called the Sustainable Development Goals. What are all these? These are all few goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations came up with 17 Sustainable Development Goals in the year 2005. And from then, they wanted to see to it that we cater to all these sustainable goals so that we reach a peaceful and a gender equal and a wonderful place for us to live in this world. So they wanted to reach out to all these goals by 2020. And then, so that is the reason every CSR activity, whenever we take up anything, we always see to it that how are we aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals. Prior to Sustainable Development Goals, it was called the Millennium Development Goals. But later, all the countries came together and called this Sustainable Development Goals. The first one that here we have, the third Sustainable Development Goal is good health and well-being. We are attending to this by doing the MHH. We are providing quality education, which is goal 4. We are providing gender equality, which is goal 5. And then goal 6 is clean water and sanitation. 8 is decent work and economic growth, and then responsible consumption and production. So we are addressing all the 6 sustainable goals of the 17, and hence we are taking it up. Moving further, we as corporate volunteers, why are we here? Can we move to the next slide? So in this TOT, what are we going to do? So I know we have participants from many companies. And so what we will do is all the volunteers, male and female volunteers, can be a part of this program. And one of the spokes of each of the corporate can align with the HYCIA Health and Wellbeing Tower. You can write to HYCIA and you can mention that you will be the spoke, and we can connect and work together in this field. It is purely a volunteering activity where we are planning to make a positive difference, which is irreversible. So post this training, what we would do is we will be we'll be assigning 1 or 2 schools, or the corporates are free to choose their own schools, where there is a necessity for menstrual hygiene to be improved. We'll take up such schools for a year or so, and we'll focus on those 2 schools to improve the menstrual health in that particular school. So we'll do it as a project in a very simple way. We'll do multiple sessions to these people. We'll do a need analysis to initially start with, where we'll find what are all the needs, the toilets, the disposable facilities available. Is there awareness among the children? How is the menstrual health in this among the students or in the school? And reaching out to the local communities near the school. All these things we can put together in this project. It would be a 1-year project. So by the end of the 1-year project, we will see all the volunteers coming up with innovative ideas to make the best of the positive impact. And we will identify such volunteers as such group of volunteers or corporates and call them MHH ambassadors. So this is the agenda of having this MHH training. So what will we do? So once we take up a project like that, can we move to the next slide? So our role will be to do a need analysis, where we will do an analysis in the school of, as I said, we will do how the menstrual health, the toilet facilities available, are there gender-based toilets available, are there proper disposable facilities available, are there incinerators, or are the people in the school and the support staffs in the school well informed? All these things will be taken up. So, and we will continue to take multiple sessions to these children and women. And here male participants will also be conducting gender equality sessions. And if there are boys in the schools, it is also good if the male volunteers could take session on the menstruation to the boys as well. It is very important that we bring the gender equality from the very beginning, so that we can make a better future or better India in the that's going to come up. The next generation will be gender equal generation. So conducting the trainings in regular intervals is very important. So how do we do that? We need to create materials. Materials are vastly available in the market. You're also open and free to create your own material. You can even create videos, PPTs, questionnaires, surveys, whatever you want to do to explain the concepts and the methods that we want to follow. All of those can be put in, and then we can take it further. And you can also define the roles and responsibilities of the various stakeholders while you're taking up these projects. So the learning, monitoring, reporting, evaluation will all be in place when we report them regularly. So this is our role as MHH volunteers. Moving to the next slide. So this is about the training content. So what are we going to do in this training? Today is day 1. So we are going to cover these topics in the day 1. And we'll speak about puberty, gender equality, puberty, menstruation, details on menstruation, disorders connected to it. We'll discuss about myths, busting out of the myths, and we'll discuss on that. And then the second day we have hygienic practices, disposal methods, food and nutrition, some yoga and exercises, home remedies, including safe touch and unsafe touch. I make it a point to include safe and unsafe touch, because that is the only time we will be able to talk to these girls and say where they have to, teach them where they have to stop and where they have to, because it's very difficult. Many of the children do not open up. So I make it a point that we include safe touch and unsafe touch in these sessions. And we end up with menopause. If we have to address rural women or any other sect of women society, then we should be able to be prepared with menopause as well. So moving on to the next slide. This is of day 1 and day 2. Now the day 3, we'll have a session by our guest speaker, Sinu Joseph. She's an engineer by qualification, but has been a social worker since 2009. She has extensively worked. I follow her very deeply because ever since, I think I have an experience of 4 years working on menstrual hygiene. And I had the opportunity to work under the aegis of Mrs. Murthy also. So I have been following Sinu Joseph, and she has done a lot of research work. If anybody comes up with a number, only 10% of women are using napkins in India, then she'll ask, where is this 10% coming from? Where is the source? So one person who has found the genuine statistics and done a lot of research with no sponsorship, because it was her interest. And she's been a TEDx speaker, and she's also a writer. Her first book, Women in Shabarimala, she did a lot of research on science behind the restrictions, and that's that's one of the best booksellers that is there. And moving to the next slide. Before we move to the next slide, can we have the poll questions, Nirja? We have a couple of questions.
Oh, nobody's taking the poll?
I want you all to take the polls, please, just to understand. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just to address the questions. That is it. Whoever is not addressing, we would like to get the names. Whoever is attending to the polls, we cannot find an option, find poll option. Nirja, the poll option isn't working.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's there.
Soumya is asking for the poll option.
It's there on the screen. There should be already 6 people have voted. No?
Okay.
6 out of 51, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Come on, polls, please, guys. There is no right or wrong answers. I never knew about menstruation until I explored it 4 years ago, though I was menstruating. So there's no problem. I learned it and I'm trying to share it. Probably, you never know, I may learn it from you as well. So please be free. Two of them. Whoever is not voting, I want the names, Nirja. Pull them out. I can read the questions if you want. There are 11 questions on the poll.
No, actually 10. So we
Sorry,
could...
10 questions. Yeah, 10 questions on the poll. Okay. Sachin, you have attempted poll 1. Yeah, no problem. So I'm getting a question. Vijay, you can do it. This is all general. Come on. It's not a woman or a me. So it's we're discussing. Yeah, please go ahead and fill whatever you understand from either your sisters, your mothers, male members also. You can please go ahead and do. Yes. You have your sisters at home, you have your mother at home, or your wife, or children, daughters.
So I think we have about 40 people who have participated. So 78%.
We'll give some more time for, I think people are getting confused if I can, because it's all related to women. If you don't know, you can just leave it. You know, you can just say, I don't know. Or you can try and think if you heard something from home or somewhere. there's some chat. So I've submitted my questions, but there were quite a lot and it takes time for me to think and answer. Okay. No problem. There's nothing called right and wrong answer. Whatever comes to you as soon as you see the questions, you can write. You must have had had a vague idea. How many have voted now, Neerja?
We have 42 out of 51. I think we are good,
You're
Kavita.
good to go?
That,
Can,
yeah.
can I know the stats of that?
Let me see.
Yeah, if you can share the stats of it.
Share results.
All right. Is there gender equality in Indian society? 76% says no. Impure blood discharges from the body during menstruation. Wow, 78% yes. Menstruation is a physiological process, 71%. None of the above. Okay, cause, I'm reading only the highest value. The cause of menstruation is hormones, 83% says yes. And then the source of menstrual blood is uterus, 66%. Some of them 26% is vagina. Usage of traditional cloth is unhygienic during menstruation. 69% says yes. Do you think girls know about menstruation before their first period? No, they do not know. Okay, 78%. How long does a typical period last? So 50% says a week. Okay. Do you think menstruation is poorly handled in India among all the countries? 92.9% says yes. What is approximate percentage of Indian women having access to sanitary napkins? 50%. All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your answers. So wonderful. So we'll move on to the slide now. This is just to know what all I should address, what all I have learned, and what is it that I've got from you. That's it. So moving on to the slide now. So here I have, can you share the slide, Neerja? You're already sharing? Okay. All right. So gender equality is our next topic. So I just wanted to share one incident because I have worked with Mrs. Murthy. There was she had mentioned about after she finished her engineering, she was applying for a job, and then on the newspaper she saw a opening, a job requirement by the Tatas, and then they had specifically mentioned where she felt that she's perfectly suitable for the job. But at the bottom, they had mentioned females do not apply. And then she was like, I have all the qualifications. Why are they saying females should not apply? So she wrote to Ratan Tata, and she was mentioning that even the address and all was not really correct. So she just wrote, and somewhere she found some address and she wrote it. But the postcard in which she wrote it, it went to him, and then it went to the Tata's group, and then she was called for the interview. She was given a flight ticket and called, and it seems that she also shared with her father about this incident, and her father was like, why did you write in a postcard to such a big person? And then she went there, and she had a panel of interviewers was there, and then she went and asked, why did you say females should not apply? I'm qualified for this position, and why did you say it? So they said that no, female members cannot do night shifts, and that's the reason we said females do not apply. She said, no, I'm open to do night shift also. I want to work. I have all the qualifications. You can ask me anything, and I can answer. So she was very bold. I've always admired the boldness in her, and so that is where the gender equality. From there, I thought it's just a beginning. It's one part of it, gender equality. So why is I can see that everybody said that our Indian society is not still gender equal. So gender equality, first of all, I wanted to say is it is not something related to, it's not a fight against men at all. It's not a woman's issue again. So it is just a fight against the traditions and that are chaining all of us together. It is about the attitudes that are ingrained in us. It is about, it's about the entire system. When a daughter and a son is sitting in the house and the mother wants a glass of water, she'll immediately call the daughter and say, get a glass of water. I said, why don't you tell him I'm studying, right? He's playing. You can ask him to, but abbai kada, he's a boy, right? So you go and get it. So that's a natural tendency it's ingrained in us. And so while we have grown up like that, so it's like there's a Lakshman Rekha, there's a lot of difference between men and the women. Like Mr. Dr. Justice Anand says, the fight for gender equality is not a fight against men. It is a fight against traditions that have chained them. It is fight against the attitudes that are ingrained in the society. It is fight against the system. It is fight against the proverbial Lakshman Rekha, which is different for men and different for women. The society must rise to the occasion, and it must recognize and accept the fact that men and women are equal partners in life, and they are individuals and they have their own identity. All of us have the rights. We have the right to choose. All human beings are free. And we have the right to develop our own personal abilities without any limitations set by all the stereotypical thinking or the prejudices or the gender rules that have been set from generations. It has been there. Do you think only in India it is there? No, the entire world is suffering gender equality. And I will share about the data in some time. So gender equality is a big movement. I mean, we have to really make it a big movement to make a change. If you see, the world is, the United Nations is coming up with the World Economic Forum has come up with a gender gap report. And they say, with that report, they say it will at least take 100 years for us to bring about a change and bring about equality between men and women. So that is too big. So here, I don't know how many male participants are here. I'm extremely glad I can see quite some male participants. Yes, I want all the male participants. You're all the heroes. Hats off to all of you for joining this session, first of all, because you are going to make a difference. And you also should know what is menstrual hygiene, because it is a part of the Sustainable Development Goal, where the boys and girls have to be made to sit together and made them taught what these biological aspects are for both the boys and girls, so that the physical well-being is taken with comfort. So that is what we are going to work on. And how are we going to do? Gender equity movement is something that we are going to take up, where we are going to take sessions that will include, that will teach about the gender roles and responsibilities and the discrimination. And we should be able to conduct some sessions. So you can come up with your own innovative ideas of conducting some games and sessions and all that. So that is about gender equality. So if you see here, why do we need gender equality? Why is the United Nations looking for gender equality? So gender equality, if we can bring gender equality, we can bring a lot of positive impact in the world. It will improve the business because there'll be a lot of innovation that will come in, and it will bring a better economy. It will reduce the poverty and will bring better health in the society. So by doing all this, we are going to bring a positive impact in the society. Gender equality can be achieved by providing proper awareness to begin with the schools, from the students. And then education is something that we are already doing in Indian economy, like Indian system, where we have Beti Padhao. So we are encouraging. And the next is inculcate is about the legislative support. We have enough support from the Indian Constitution. We have the articles which speak about Indian Constitution. Article 14 to 19 almost speaks about the Constitution of Equality. And especially Article 14, 18, and 19 speaks about equality and non-discrimination among men and women. There are articles which speaks about the pay packages to be equally same for the men and the women. There are a lot of facilities available in the government, but still we see that it is very difficult to be implemented because of the ingrained attitudes in our systems. It is not just a problem in India, it is a problem in the entire world, but definitely India needs to grow up a lot, because if you see the report, we'll be able to know. Moving on to the next slide. if you can see this report, where does India stand? India among, there are, this is World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report, which came up in the year 2020. The last one that we got was 2018, and this is 2020 report, where we are ranking 112 globally. Among 152 countries, we are standing in 112, which is, if you see there is a global average, we are lacking. There are 4 parameters under this. Economic participation and opportunity is one. Educational attainment is another one, where we have improved a little because of the Beti Padhao. Health and survival is something, again, we are low. We are below the average. And political empowerment is, again, something that we have improved from. But if we compare the 18 statistics and 20 statistics, the 3 statistics are better: health and education and political, but the economic participation is less. But overall, if we see in the 2018 report, we were standing in 108th rank. And but very sadly, in 2000, probably 10 years ago, we were in the 96th rank, and then now we are really going, which is not a good sign. So I think all men, we have to stand up for this, and then we have to fight for this, and then make gender equality a part of our own lives. We have to start it from our own lives, and that's why only then we can bring it up. Moving on to the next slide. So when we do this gender equality, we are contributing to around 11 sustainable development goals. There are so many things that we are going to address if we are going to work on gender equality. Having said this, so gender equality, how are we going to bring these awareness sessions to the students? Or especially now, initially, we are going to take up the students. So it's the right target group. It's very easy to teach the children because there is no basement. We are going to create the basement for them. So we have to come up with innovative ideas to teach these children how to inculcate this discrimination, non-discrimination, and equality, and all these things. So, the gender equality is going to be a very important point where all of us are going to contribute, and this needs multiple sessions that we have to conduct throughout the year, not just one session. One session you take and it will be forgotten in 10 days. You have to reiterate again and again to these students, whoever you're reaching out to. Moving on to the next slide. Now we are coming to this puberty. So what is puberty? Puberty happens both in boys and girls. What is this actually? Puberty is a phase of change from a child to an adult. The child is becoming an adult. So what happens here? During this time, do you all remember what happened during your puberty times? You can chat on the window. I want you guys, all of you to chat and share your ideas. And mood swings, yeah? Thank you for that. Absolutely. Lot of changes in the physical body as well. Yes. It's a phase of transition that happen, hormonal changes. Yes, absolutely. Gauri, thank you for that. So the child becomes an adult and is prepared to have a child. The sex hormones get secreted from the brain, and there are a lot of changes that happen in the body. So what happens is, this is a time of rapid growth spurt. There is an increase in the body. Absolutely, Madhuri. Embarrassment, absolutely. Which includes increase in the body size, and there is sexual maturation also that happens. So a lot of changes in the body, like hair growth in various parts of the body. The skin becomes oily. It leads to pimples, acne, and spots. Increased sweating and body odor is there. This is common in every child. In fact, when I went through this, I used to think it is happening only to me. I was feeling a little awkward and all that. I think it is important that parents, or when we get a chance, we should tell these children it is normal, because when we tell them it is normal, then at least they will get to know, okay, otherwise otherwise they'll feel embarrassed within themselves, and something is happening with me alone. Something is not okay with me. So that will in fact put their self-esteem low. So by speaking about this, we are going to help them improve on their self-esteem, and they'll be ready to take it. So when you're prepared, even if it is a difficult situation, we are fine with it, right? It's the same thing. So we can prepare them to see all these things through in a comfortable way. So the body changes can be looked into comfortably. So feeling of embarrassment, confusion, mood swings, because the child suddenly becomes an adult. He's not able, he's able to think differently. At the same time, not a completely child, but in the society, he's still looked up like a child, or the parents still look at him like a child. In certain cases, they want him to be like an adult. All these confusions come in. And because of these hormones as well, mood swings, very low esteem, body image, really poor body image goes, the body image goes for a toss during this time. And attraction for the other sex is a very common thing, which generally children really fight it. We have to actually educate the parents to teach the children it is okay to have attraction, but how to handle it is what the parents have to teach them. So majorly, these are the changes that happens for both the boys and the girls. In the boys, there is a prominent voice change that happens. Along with all the body changes that happens, they become a little muscular, and then the hair in the chest and mustache, beard, and finally they have something called the semenarche. Like the girls have the menarche, they have the semenarche. In the girls, what happens? What are the girls up to? So if the sexual hormones are improved in the girl, then what is it? So they are ready to have a child. They're getting ready to have a child. So what will happen? So if they have to have a child, the hips widen, and then the fat accumulates in various parts of the body. That's why we have seen many boys commenting hourglass. They become curvier. The breasts start appearing, getting fuller, and then vaginal discharge happens. And then at the end of the puberty is menarche that happens. So during this time, a lot of changes happen. So actually what happens, there is a lot of changes that happens in the brain. The puberty, actually, there are two masterminds that happens that are there is, one is pituitary gland and the other one is the hypothalamus in the brain that are reasonable for this puberty. So from there are certain hormones that are getting released, and then this puberty changes start appearing. So, and suddenly the child's mental setup also is going through a lot of change, and that is all about puberty. Moving on to the next slide. A lot of issues happen around puberty because there is a lot of confusion, and what happens is during puberty, the parents and family takes a backseat. The children are highly influenced by peers, media, social media, and the cultural norms, and the eating habits change. So, and lack of nutrition knowledge also. So they do a lot of binge eating junks and all that starts up here. There's a lot of there is a National Adolescent School Survey, health survey, that has observed that children obtain breakfast and lunch foods from the sources other than home or school, were more likely to consume high fat and low nutrient dense snacks. They eat up all snacks and
Kavita,
junk. Yes?
sorry to interrupt you. Since
Yeah.
this is a workshop, would you like to take some questions in between if somebody
Yes.
has a question? I
Yes,
think
yes.
Radhika has a question. So if I allow her to talk, would you like to listen?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'll be happy. Yeah.
Hi, Radhika.
Hello?
Hi, Radhika, you had a question for Kavita?
No, I don't have any questions.
I saw a raised hand from you, so I thought that you have a question.
Sorry. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. You have any questions, you can always stop me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Continue.
so, yes. Yeah, embarrassment, increased height. Yeah, thank you. Severe stomach pain for a week. Okay, Meghna. Yes. Oh, that is during menstruation. Yes. So generally what happens is during this time, there is a lot of confusion. So children don't tend to eat. So they don't eat properly and they eat these junks. So anemia, calcium deficiency, iron deficiency, poor body image, either they become fat, obesity, or they become, there are certain eating disturbances that happen. So these are the common issues that we see in adolescents. I will not be covering more on this food and nutrition because we are going to touch upon food and nutrition tomorrow in the session. So this is just to give a general idea, because the general health of the adolescents has always been an issue, because they don't want to listen. That's a rebellious stage, right? I have always felt like rebelling. Why, what, and all that. So moving on to the next one. Here comes menstruation. Okay. How many of you knew about menstruation? So I saw the question that many of them do not know. Truly speaking, I never knew about menstruation. I still remember one incident where I saw my auntie purchasing the sanitary napkin, and then I was asking her what this was, and she was like, "Oh my God, you should not ask this question." I said, "Why? What is there?" And then I kept on querying. The more she was denying to tell me, the more curious I became. I was just a fifth class child. And those days, today's fifth class child is very, very intelligent enough. Those days, I was still curious and inquisitive to find out what is it. And she wouldn't say. And my grandmother comes and says, "Shut up, you should not speak. This is all elders' things. You should not discuss about it." And then I still remember, yes, very true. People find it very embarrassing to buy it from the shops. So I went and discussed with my friend, you know what? My aunt got some beautiful, nice packet. It looks very beautiful. And she wouldn't tell me what it is for. I saw her taking into the bathroom. And my friend said, "I heard that there is some bleeding that happens." And I was like, I don't think that should be a problem, because say we are defecating, we are speaking about it. We are urinating, we are speaking about it. If there is blood coming out from there, why should somebody feel? I don't think it is blood. It should be something else. So for years, I kept my curiosity on, and I never thought about blood as a serious. That could be a possibility. Is something that I ruled it out. So when I menstruated for the first time, when my menarche came in, when I saw blood stains, I immediately thought it was cancer. Oh my God, why so much of blood? What is happening? I went and showed it to my auntie, and then she, oh my God, then she called for everybody, the typical South Indian family, right? Then she called, she announced, oh, good news. I said, what is good news? So this is how it was. So many of the girls, so I felt like what was wrong in for my aunt or my grandmother to say this is what is going to happen, me being a girl. So this is what I'm speaking about. You know, people don't speak about it openly. I don't know, it was always a point to hide. So it is simply a process of shedding blood and tissues from the lining of the womb through the vagina, through the woman's vagina, in every month. This is a simple, in a layman's language, blood comes out of the uterus through the vagina every month. That is it. And this is a very important milestone for a girl, because she's become a woman. The same as it is wet dreams for the boys, it is the first milestone for the girl, because she's becoming a woman. And this first menstrual cycle is called menarche. And in South, in India, we celebrate it, not just in South. I think in earlier ancient India, we used to celebrate it, because in ancient India, we used to do a lot of celebration for the younger children in order to build up yes. But they used to celebrate it for, in order to improve the self-esteem of the children. They had so many validations for these celebration functions as well. We will look into it. We'll discuss about it in some time. So it is also called menses, menstrual period, monthly, or many of us call, I have those 3 days, those 3 days. It is a self-cleaning process. The women have the natural detoxification process that happens every month. And if you see, especially after menstruation, if you see, especially during the ovulation time, you can see women glowing actually, because the skin gets better, because the body is getting cleaner. So it's a natural cleansing process. So generally what happens is, when these days we can see that 8-9 years children are menstruating. But earlier when I menstruated, probably it was around 12 years, 13 years. That was a normal thing, but now it has come down and it's become 8 years. It could be probably because of the food that we are eating also. And it's a little difficult for us to teach such small children what it is all about. So, but this is the first step we are taking. We have to go into animated videos to teach these children as to what is happening and how they have to be. So this is about menstruation. And what happens during menstruation? It differs from every woman to woman. It's a very delicate, the entire body becomes very delicate, and it differs completely from woman to woman or a girl to girl. There is general weakness in the body, but the delicateness is common for all the women. All the women are delicate during this particular time. The general weakness of the body will be there. It will be light or heavy. It depends upon person to person. Some people have dizziness, nausea. I used to have when I was young. I used to feel nausea, but I was an athlete. I still remember I was ready for a 200 meters run. And then in 15 minutes before that, I realized that I have my periods. I just have to keep it. Generally, when it starts for the first time, all the thighs and the nausea starts up. But still, I ran the game with after using my sanitary napkins. So cramps, lower abdominal pain, headaches, some of them, it's not the same for everybody. For each and every one of them, the symptoms are different. So when we see let us see the facts about menstruation. On an average, woman has about 450 menstrual cycles over 38 years in her entire life. 450 menstrual cycles. It's an average number. So some women menstruate every 28 days. Generally, the cycle is 28 days. Some of them, it may vary from person to person. It could be till 35 days as well. 28 to 35 days, it differs from person to person. If it becomes shorter, it could be 21 days. Initially, what happens when the girl menstruates, it takes 2-3 years for her to get her menstruation regularized. It'll take some time. Sometimes it jumps. It doesn't. After 2-3 months, she may get it. It is normal to be that way. So if it is later, then we have to consult a doctor. And we should always remember one thing while speaking about menstruation. All the female volunteers out there, you should be able to share your personal experience, because it is very difficult for children to relate otherwise. I have been into this field and they're not ready to share unless and until you become a good friend. So we have to share our personal experience while speaking about this. So the periods usually last for 2 to 7 days. In fact, 3 to 7 days actually. For some of them, it is just 3 days. For some of them, it is 4 days. It could vary for people to people. And menstrual blood is not bad blood. We'll discuss about it. We found that menstrual blood on the poll question I found, but most of us voted saying that menstrual blood is bad blood. But here it says no. Let us have a look into why it is. So menstruation is not sickness, illness, disease, infection, harm. It is not anything negative. It is something positive. It shows the positive health in the girl children or the woman. Moving on to the next. Okay, now what are the parts involved in menstruation? Is it possible for anybody to speak up? I want somebody to explain in your understanding of how.
If they can raise their hand, I can allow them to speak.
Yeah, can somebody try and tell me what happens during menstruation? We have the body parts here, the reproductive system, the female reproductive system. We have the uterus, we have the ovaries, fallopian tube, vagina. Can you try and guess how the menstruation happens? Any of you would like to volunteer?
Can I say something?
Yes, please. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Oh,
nice.
it's
Your name,
basically from it starts with the egg. Egg will form in ovary, and
Yeah.
it will wait for the sperm to come, and so that mating can happen, and our child can form over there. But if sperm is not there, then egg will burst and it will try to come down with this pipe uterus actually, and it will go through the vagina actually. So we in male, the thing that exactly happens in the menstrual cycle actually. This
Wonderful.
is
Thank you so much. That was a very good attempt. Who is that?
Sachin.
Sachin, thank you so much, Sachin. That was a wonderful attempt. And I'm so happy that a male volunteer we already started with gender equality. Good. So that was a very good attempt. So anybody wants to try? So, okay, I want to know, he said that there is an egg that comes from the ovary. Can anybody tell me? Yeah, who's that?
Hi, Kavita, this is Varsha.
Hi, Varsha.
So I would like to explain this how the menstruation happens. So I have heard a very beautiful way of explaining this. So which I
Okay.
would like to tell you.
Yes, please.
So it is how when in our home when a guest arrives. So what we do is we decorate the home, we make our pillows and bed and all these things. Okay, so that's how we welcome the guest. So in the
Mhm.
same way, the uterus also say they decorate the walls with a wall which they are so that they are making a cozy environment for a baby.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately, when the baby doesn't come, it gets very irritated and frustrated, and it's like, oh God, I don't want all this because I was expecting someone and it didn't happen. So
Okay.
then all starts shedding, and that's what comes out of the blood out from the vagina.
Okay, wonderful. How much blood comes? Any idea?
Um,
And I want everybody to post it there. How much of blood comes out?
it's way less than what we think actually.
Okay. I want everybody to put it on the chat. A small cup. Okay. Half cup. Okay. Okay. Anybody wants to try? How much of blood comes out? Chat on the chat window. All right. I also want to know how many eggs will be there in the ovaries. Subjective, case to case. Okay. How many eggs are there in the ovaries? And when do they come? 2 eggs, one from each fallopian tube. 1 egg releases. How many eggs are there in the ovaries? And from when do they come? 1 egg releases. Okay. Shweta. Satyaprakash. Wow. During the child formation. Wonderful. In the womb. Wonderful. So there are thousands of egg in each of these ovaries, and they are there by birth. For every girl is born with these. They are born with these. So what happens during menstruation? What happens is there is 1 egg that goes from either from the left side or the right side, any one side. For example, this is December, right? So probably let us think from the left ovary, there is an egg that comes out that matures and goes and flows into the fallopian tube. And while going through the fallopian tube, it passes through, and that while it is passing through the uterus, the inner wall of the uterus, there is a wall that is there that is called the endometrium, the inner side. If you see it's just like a fist, it's just the size of the fist. The entire uterus is the size of the fist. It's very small. It's 3.5 centimeters. And the ovaries are 2.5 or something. So approximately. So there is the inner wall of the uterus is called endometrium in the language of the doctors. The endometrium wall thickens. What happens? There are a lot of tissues that gets formed. The tissues are made up of a lot of nutrients, and blood vessels are also rolled up in it. So what happens is all this, it's made like a bed, like how there's a volunteer who just spoke, I forgot her name. So she said it very beautifully. It's like made like a bed for the child to be taken care of. If the child is born, the child should be held there. So there is a bed like a thing that forms, and when the egg falls inside, whether it is unfertilized or fertilized. If it is fertilized, what happens is it sticks to the wall. If it is not fertilized, what happens? Actually, what happens when the egg goes there, it keeps shining. It will wait for the sperm. If it doesn't find the sperm, then it comes inside and looks out, and then it sheds out. While shedding out, the entire lining, the bed that was created for thinking that the child is going to come, the entire lining gets shed. The tissues, it's more like a gel that is formed around along with the blood vessels. So moving on to the next slide, that will explain us much better. Yeah. So this is how it comes. So if you see, let us now look into the, where is this? Yeah, the topmost one is the follicular phase. There you see the egg, and there is one egg that is there, the developing egg on the right side of the uterus. If you see the right side uterus, you can see an egg, right? Developing egg. From there, if you see, the egg is getting into the fallopian tube. And as it is getting in the fallopian tube, you can see the ovulation phase. The egg is already entered the fallopian tube, and this endometrium wall has started getting thickening. Endometrium is the inner wall of the uterus. It has started getting thick. So as it is getting inside, then it did not get fertilized. The egg comes into the, whether it gets fertilized or not, the egg comes inside the uterus. If it fertilizes, it gets stuck to the wall. If it doesn't, it slowly comes. It comes, and then in the menstrual phase, it starts shedding out through the vagina. So this is the entire menstrual cycle. And so if you see, this is all about, and especially during these times, what happens? Estrogen, there are hormones. There are two masterminds involved in this menstruation. Who handles this menstruation? Two masterminds. One is in the brain, we have the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. From the hypothalamus, there is one hormone that goes and instigates or stimulates two more hormones from the pituitary glands. Those two hormones move down and ask the eggs, and they help the egg mature. And the egg that is maturing creates the estrogen. And that is why we have a lot of mood swings. The estrogen also brings in a lot of mood swings before the periods could start. There'll be a sudden fall when the period starts. So just to go to the next slide, there is a lot of research that has gone in studying about the menstrual cycle of the woman. So when I said in the first slide, if you have seen, I have said that every lunar month, there is a lot of connection. If you see in India, India is a country where we have traditionally gone with Ayurveda and the traditional methods of science. If you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, he will not put a stethoscope and look. He will instead look into your nadi and see the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the three fingers he will place, and he can tell you what are all the problems that you're going through. Because Ayurveda is more into the study of the inner energies in your body. So if we see, there are a lot of research that has gone in reading about the menstrual cycle, because as per the ancient Indian tradition, there is something called the sun cycle. If you see, if people know yoga, we do the Surya Namaskara. There are 12 asanas. It seems it takes 12 years for the sun cycle to happen. But for a moon cycle, it takes 28 days. And our menstrual cycle is also 28 days. And there is a lot of connection between how the moon and the menstruation. So to speak more about this, I am planning to ask the same question, because Sinu Joseph, our guest speaker who is going to take up the session on the third day, she has done tremendous research on this. We will have a discussion with her on how is this connection between the moon cycle and the menstruation. And also, if you could see on the sides, I have mentioned about the 4 seasons. If you see the menstruation, the first 5 days or the 7 days, women have menstruation. After menstruation is the ovulation or post-menstruation. This is the time the egg again gets released. And especially during this ovulation time, which is 12th to 16th days, this is the time when any of them who want to have the children, the women are ready for intercourse, and the chances of pregnancies is very high during the ovulation period, 12 to 16 days. So this is a time when the women look really glowing, and they look good, and they're very friendly and all that. They're very calm and all that. And when you see post-ovulation, also they are totally prepared. They are into total work mode. The problem comes during the premenstrual PMS, which is before the menstruation. Before menstruation, there is a lot of issues that happen that people have been addressing, because women get into a shell, and then there is blatant truth that they speak about. They can be really honestly too truthful, which we may not be able to. So all men in the call, so be very careful. You can always have a check if your wife or your mother or your sister, if it is pre-menstrual time, be very careful, leave them calm and cool. So that is why in olden days, they used to say women have to rest during those times. And so one more thing that I wanted to ask is, so we said that from the uterus, there is this tissue, that is this inner lining that happens, which contains little of blood. So the blood is about 4 spoons for a normal period, and for a heavy bleeding, it is 7 spoons. What are all the other things? So we change so many napkins. Then what is it all filled with? What is it all filled with? Any idea? Yes, blood will come. Yeah. That was throughout the entire dead cells, discharges, white discharge. No, that's not white discharge, but that's okay. The gel, correct. Satya Prakash. Oh my God, Satya Prakash Dugirala, you've been giving, even earlier also I found. Yes, there is a gel that gets formed in the inner layer that I spoke about. There is this inner layer which is filled with nutrients when a new, yes, that's not clots. I will tell you what all come. There are 3 things that come out in the, can we go to the previous picture, to 2 pictures before? Earlier one. Yes, if you see here, you're able to hear me? I'm sorry. Yes. If you see here, we could see that there is an inner line. I was telling that there is an inner line that forms, and that is filled with lot of nutrients for the baby to be grown there. So how could it, so if there is bad blood, do you think a bad blood can hold the baby, and baby can be nurtured by the bad blood? Endometrium. Yes, the endometrium wall thickens. What is there in the endometrium? It contains lot of nutrients for the child. It contains lot of tissues and nutrients for the child, along with blood vessels rolled up in the corners. So what happens is just 4 spoons of blood that is there around, but since it mixes with all these gel that is there, the tissues that is there, that comes out. So it is the blood that comes out from the blood vessels that are coiled up in the corners, and also this gel or the tissues that is making a bed for the child if the child grows. And the third thing that come out is the egg that is unfertilized egg that breaks down and comes. So sometimes you find some sudden clot. It is a broken egg that comes out. So this is what is the complete structure of menstruation. So if this is the case, if that blood, then why do we call it a bad blood? A blood that can grow a child, a blood that can give nutrients to the child, then why do we call it a bad blood? Have you ever thought of it? It is a very normal blood. Trust me, when you cut your finger, that blood and this blood is a normal blood. It is not different at all. For years, even I was thinking that all the impure blood used to be pushed out from the uterus. If a child has to be grown in this uterus, it cannot go. Body throws out waste. Hence it is, no, it is not a bad blood at all. That is a myth. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not at all a bad blood, because for years we have been under this impression that it's a bad blood and blood is impure blood is being chucked out during the menstruation. No, it is a detoxification by itself for the body, because cleansing happens. But that doesn't mean that whatever is coming out from the vagina is something impure or the waste is coming out at all. It is something that could protect and grow a baby, which means that it is highly nutritious. It is very, very healthy. then where did this concept of bad blood come from? I think we really have to take this in, because this is something that I learned and it took a lot of time. I did a lot of research. I have watched the researches made by Sinu, which was really mind blowing also. And then I started looking into it. I don't know why this bad blood was carried throughout, but it was probably because in olden days, people used to listen when they say, do this, you should not be doing that. So don't throw it there because some animal will come and eat you off. All these things people used to say. It is not a bad blood. It contains a lot of nutrients and that comes out. And for your information, do you believe that it smells? No. Why is it called bad blood? Maybe because the body throws out, else it would be retained. No, it throws out because there is no baby there. It is not throwing out because it is a bad blood. It is throwing out because the baby is not growing. It is actually formed it is not just the blood. The tissues are more than the blood. The blood is only 4 spoons for the entire cycle. If it is 4 days or 5 days or whatever it is on an average, it is 4 spoons only, Sati Prakash. Yes, it smells bad. It is generally not bad smelling. It's only any blood that is exposed for a longer time outside, it smells. It's not just this blood. So we have to get it to our understanding that it is not a normal blood smell, but she's speaking about the smells bad. The odor is bad, Sachin. So many of us think it smells bad. Any blood, you cut your finger and put the blood out, and any blood will smell bad when it is exposed to air. In fact, absolutely, Varsha. Menstrual blood is one of the best fertilizers. They are used definitely in paintings also. Yes. In fact, in Manipur, in a couple of traditional places, in Manipur and a couple of other places, the girls are asked to taste their first menstrual blood. You're getting it? So I wish I'm able to see. I'm not able to see the faces. So the girls are made to taste their first menstrual blood because they feel they have this tradition that it would protect her, and it is very good for health also. It is used in the soil as well in the Northeast. Absolutely right. Yes, even I learned it for the first time. That's right. When I learned it 4 years ago, when I started, I also learned it for the first time. Absolutely. And one more thing is not just tasting as a tradition, the first menstrual blood is made to taste. Do you know that the menstrual blood has good stem cells? Stem cells that can even rejuvenate. There are some companies. Yes, there are companies who are actually collecting the menstrual blood, and because it has very highly rich stem cells. And these stem cells they say the younger group, see, I'm 40 plus. So the younger group of people, probably the younger generation have better, healthier stem cells. As we age, and for a person like me, it may not be, the stem cells are not of that great quality. So it reduces. So the younger menstrual bloods have good stem cells. And as we age, it reduces. So there are a lot of positive things about menstruation. I have observed that using. Absolutely. Menstrual blood does not, so we have to actually think of it in a very logical perspective. Menstrual blood does not smell bad at all. Any blood exposed outside for a longer time smells. And moreover, usage, what are we using? See, what happens? So, okay, let me now tell you what happens in the vagina is the vagina pH factor is approximately about 3.8 to 4.5, which means that it is moderately acidic in nature. And it has to be that way, otherwise it cannot protect us from infections. So, but the blood pH factor is 7 to 8. So, and this blood pH, it keeps coming out. It keeps, when it passes through the vagina, continuously it keeps passing through the vagina during our menstruation. So that is the reason they have been asking us to use the right products so that it doesn't, and again, just imagine we use sanitary napkins which has plastic in it. Already that is why they say garam, and we keep it, we go to places where our offices are in AC, there is no proper aeration around. And if we don't change the napkins regularly, then that's going to be a big issue. So when there is a lot of possibilities for infection only when we do not regularly change it. And the most, the most and the best comfortable or the best hygienic thing would be in olden days, traditional cotton cloth, something that is very clean and neat, washed well, sun dried. And when we use that cotton cloth, that's the best thing that can help us. All these sanitary napkins that we have today, I know it is very contradicting, but we have to use them because we cannot change or wash the cloth in the office, or children cannot wash it in the schools. So it's better and convenient for us to use the sanitary napkins, but it is important, absolutely. Absolutely. So it is important that we change the sanitary napkins every 4 hours. We should always have a watch on these advertisements which says 12 hours protection. Please, 12 hours, you should never have your sanitary napkins underneath, because we have to, first thing is blood. As I said, the pH factor of blood and the vagina. If it is continuously there, then there is a lot of possibilities for us to have vaginal bacterial vaginosis, which is infection in the vagina. So it is important. It's extremely a delicate time inside the body. Entire body is delicate for a woman during menstruation, not just the body and this particular system. So it is very important that we wear proper inner garments and proper sanitary materials or the menstrual materials while menstruating. And that is the reason I added this question. So our Indian tradition, we have always followed the best methods in our generations previously. I have used, as a young girl, I have used cloth, and I have never found it very difficult. Of course, not during the school times. When I was doing social work, I was into social work for about 6 years, like Avra said. I started in 1996. So I was into complete social work for about 6 years. And I still remember, there was one of my friend's mother who was a nurse who used to come. Can I have the video on, Nirja? My video. Is that possible to have my video?
Your video
So that I
is
want
on.
people to see, because they're seeing the picture. I want them to see me. I'm talking.
No, your video is continuously on,
It's
Kavita.
on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I still remember, I just wanted to show this. I just picked up this. There is something like this. If you see, it's a very thin cloth, a bandage cloth. This kind of a cloth, one of my friend's mother, who was a nurse in one of the hospitals, when I was into social work for about 6 years, she came and gave this cloth. She said, this you can use for periods. I said, Auntie, this is so thin and you can see all the threads. And then she said, you try it. She's a nurse. And then I said, okay, let me try it. Something like this. It's like a bandage cloth, you know. And trust me, I still remember of the happy periods I had with this kind of cloth. It was, and it's whitish in color. Auntie, it will get stains and all. No, you just try it, she said. It'll be good. So I used that cloth and I found it was so easy to wash, and I never had any stains. And then it used to dry up I was able to sun dry it and use it. I found a similar cloth. I just took it. I thought I can show it to all of you while training. So it was a very happy period that I still remember and relish about. I've never found that material. It is similar to this material, not the exact material, something similar to this. I would say it's more of the bandage cloth. Let me look into the chat. Okay. Yeah, cups is better. Cups is definitely safer comparatively. We can keep cleaning it. It's easier for us to clean. But again, cleaning it in a hygienic way is very important. Tomorrow we'll have the session on the hygienic practices that we are going to do. We'll definitely take it up. So, but definitely cloth has been the best way. provided we use it properly. We have to use a proper soft cotton cloth and something that can be drying up easily. And we have to wash it well, clean it very well, put it in hot water and some Dettol, and then sun dry it. Sun drying is the most important part of the cleansing process. Otherwise, if we do this, then cloth is one of the best practices that we can ever do. And the other thing is napkins. Yes, definitely we are all working. So we go to offices, we cannot keep carrying cloth and changing it, or we cannot wash it, or you can roll it up and bring it back. So we can instead have the sanitary napkins, but every 4 hours. In fact, I tell the children wherever I go, I tell the children morning one, afternoon one, evening one, and before going to sleep, you have to change one. As soon as you get up in the morning, you change. So I keep telling people at least 4. So though everybody says 3, I said no, 4 times a day, please changing your napkins, even if it is 1 drop. Any blood that is already exposed and your vagina is getting exposed to this pH factor of the blood, which is 7%, and there is possibility for the vagina to get infected, and we should be extremely careful about that. So that is about menstruation. And then the cycle. Can we move on to the further slides, the next slide? So we will, so I will park this question aside for Sinu Joseph to discuss about the moon cycle and menstruation and the 4 seasons. And I also wanted her to address about the traditional practices, which she has done a lot of research on the Indian traditional practices and how India is what it is because of that. Moving on to the next slide. Yes, I wanted to just give, since many of us are IT guys, so we need to know what is happening in the background of the menstrual cycle. So I thought, let me give a background here. So what is this all about? I'm trying to share the details of what is happening in the background. So if you see in the bottom, you can see a scale that is 0 to 28 days. So what is it? The first 14 days is called the follicular days, follicular phase, and 14 to 28 days is the luteal phase. So what happens if in case for some of them it is more than 28 days? So what happens? The follicular day doesn't expand. After 14, that days will expand. The follicular cycle will expand, not the the luteal cycle will expand, not the follicular cycle. The first 14 days will not extend at all. So what happens at this? What happens? The endometrium thickens. When does it thicken? During the first 5 days are the periods. The period start date and the end dates. I want you all to have a look at those scale at the bottom. What happens during the first few days? There is the endometrium thickening that is getting shared. And then what happens after that is the ovary releases the egg, and then the hormones. There are 2 hormones I was speaking about. To the right side, you can see a picture of the brain. The picture says hypothalamus, pituitary. There is the first hormone, gonadotropic, that is GnRH. Hormone is released from the hypothalamus. That is a very strong hormone. If not for that, pituitary will not release these 2 hormones. If these 2 hormones are there, none of us will have puberty. LH, that is luteinizing hormone, and follicle stimulating hormone. These are the 2 important hormones. If you can see, that raises up during the ovulation and it is falling low. And then raising up during the menstruation, and then slowly coming up during the ovulation time. 12 to 16 is our ovulation time, right? So both the hormones. That is why women look very beautiful during those periods. So any boys out there, anybody who wants to be very friendly with any woman, you can try during those days. So, and then ovarian hormones are estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is not by itself produced. It is produced inside the cell. If you see, there is a follicle that I would like to show the second one, that is ovary follicle that comes up. Follicle is nothing but gel kind of a covering on the egg that is there. So not all the egg, there are a lot of eggs, only one egg matures. And then what happens? The follicle then releases the egg. If you see in the center ovulation time, you can see the releasing of the egg. After that, it becomes the corpus luteum. And that is the reason it is called the luteal phase. The second half is called the luteal phase, and the first phase is called the follicular phase. The follicle is covering the egg, right? So that is why it's called the follicular phase. And then if you can see the body temperature varies during this period. So I just wanted to show you what is happening in the background to our bodies when this is happening. So estrogen by itself does not produce. There are 2 cells inside the egg of the ovary that produces this estrogen from the androgens. The androgen is available there. There are 2 cells inside the egg of the ovary that makes a composition and releases the estrogen. Estrogen is not by itself a separate hormone. It is made by the cells in the ovary. So this is, I just wanted to give you a background. So we are all software engineers, IT employees. So probably you should know what is happening in the background. I thought I should give this to you. And moving on to the next slide. So that is the reason I said these. So I hope you understand how important it is to maintain menstrual hygiene during this period. The vagina has to be really protected. We should change the napkins regularly and use the best of the safe and the clean materials, and sun dry them as much as it has to be sun dried. It's not, there is no other option at all. And probably for this reason, I'm not very much for the stitched kind of a napkin, because many of the women in the rural, I have worked in the rural and the tribal areas. If you see in the tribal areas, they're feeling so shy to dry the simple thin cloth. Such people, do you think they will be using these kind of stitched napkins and that doesn't dry at all? So for some reason, I was not in for the stitch kind of a thing. It's if anybody is using a cloth, it is best to use simple cotton cloth or the sanitary napkins that is available, the safer ones. If you could avoid plastic, that is better. If you could regularly change it as often as possible, that is even more better. The more we absorb the blood and hold it inside our panties for a longer time, there are a lot of possibilities for infection to happen. So we have to, so hygiene protects us from infection, the body odor, continuously cleaning, washing, using the soap. It's very important, Dettol. And this will make us feel really comfortable and make us feel healthy also. So how do we improve menstrual hygiene? We have to educate and promote the education. We have to provide all this pragmatic information to the children, girl and the children, women. And in fact, I would like to say in the rural areas, many times when I went, I found that the women were not aware. Even there are mothers who are not aware of the fact that menstruation and childbirth has any connection at all. But they are dealing with menstruation in their own ways, but they're dealing it well again. They're dealing it well in their own ways, but they do not know that there is connection. So the knowledge or information about what is happening inside the physical body, I think every woman has the right to know what is happening. So, and we will take it as an opportunity to take it further. So that is why we are all here together. So education to the pre-primary, since today's menstruation starts for children at very younger ages, it's very important that we educate the children, even primary and post-primary also, to tell them what it is in a superficial way, at least before. So, and yeah, this is something, washing the vulva and the hands. So back to forth, washing back and forth, and then using soap and water. All these things are something, the cleanliness agenda. We have to come up with a proper text of what are all the cleanliness activities we have to do. The washing, like we used to teach washing your hands. Like I think it became very famous after the COVID, but I used to teach all these things, washing each of these fingers, all these things. We used to make them do like a game. And then we used to tell not to wash from the back to the front, because the particles from the defecated particles from the back will get into the vagina, which is not good. So we have to get into such details while teaching to the children. And moving on to the next slide. Okay, I want to quickly take you through what are all the possible menstrual disorders. What are menstrual disorders? Let us not call it two big names. menstrual pain, or some people do not have periods at all, or some people have very light. For few of them, it is more than 35 days, which is called oligomenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea is a very common thing that is there in the entire world, I would say. Abnormal uterine bleeding, premenstrual syndrome. Premenstrual syndrome is I told you the few days before menstruation is a very important phase for the woman, and that is when a lot of psychological symptoms come during the PCOD. PCOD is also a part of it, but this is again it is more of a medical term. So when we are training, we will not touch into the medical aspect. See, for example, egg comes from one ovary, one side, and so if it is from the left ovary, and then next time on the right ovary. So sometimes what happens is on both the sides, very rare cases, both the sides egg comes. That's a medical issue. So only gynecologists can address. Yeah, PCOD is a problem. Fibroids, again, is another problem that has to be consulted to a medical representative. We should not be handling it. Yeah. Any other questions? Reused. Yeah, it is good to use reused cloth. If we use a cloth, that can be used till 3 months. After that, we have to dispose it. And again, we can use the cloth. It is good. You can use it. I have used it. When I was a young girl, I have used it. I have used it very cleanly. I used to sun dry them and put it back into my bag, and then reuse it for 3 months maximum, and then throw it off. It is okay to reuse. And in fact, it's more hygienic as well. Apologies to drop. No problem, Satyaprakash. Actual menopause. So menopause, we will have a session tomorrow. We'll discuss on menopause. For some people, it starts a little early. Very few of them. It depends from person to person. From the physical attributes of every woman is different, right? So it differs. So premature menopause, sometimes very few people have it before 40. So PMS, within PMS, we have PMDD, which is a very explorative. There is too much of anger, too much of noise, and I mean, generally people, girls are a little angry during PMS time. But this is a very even more explorative phase, I can say. So that these are all the menstrual disorders. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, can you see this statistics here? Dysmenorrhea is pain, is menstrual pain. Why is the statistics shows India is less? The prevalence of the problems, menstrual problems, or the pain is less in India? Any guesses? We are finishing it off. I think we are already probably another 10 more minutes, and they don't discuss about it. Okay, this is okay, fine. Then anybody else? Why do you think the statistics shows India is much better compared to other developed and developing countries? Indian food, absolutely, Kalyani, Durga Kalyani. Yes, absolutely. Indian food, definitely. Less junk, yes, homemade food. Antibodies, household activities which we perform, and food, yeah, absolutely. Then
उत्तर प्रदेश पूरे देश के अंदर कहीं भी आप कहें तो
okay, all right. So actually speaking, I don't know, but this is a study done. I mean, there have been around 105 studies or across India and many other countries that has been done. I have been following Sinu Joseph on her researches, because she wouldn't take numbers just like that, and she would question any number, and she's one person who has never taken any sponsorship for the researches that she has to do on this, because she wanted to know the actual numbers, and she was a little worried about why India has been portrayed as though we have the worst of these systems in India. there are a lot of stigmas and taboos that have been portrayed only in India. I want to say that not only in India, the entire world, there are a lot of taboos around menstruation. In fact, there are cases where just because a woman is PMSing, she's in her PMS state and she committed a crime, she was let gone or reduced given a reduced punishment because she was during PMS. And in many countries, women are not allowed to touch plants. In many countries, women are not allowed to do, they are considered evil during that time. It's not just in India, in everywhere it is there. Since we think we are too traditional and we have these taboos, and our thinking is stuck only within India, it is not true. The entire world has issues or social stigmas around menstruation and taboos around menstruation. It's not just India. So, so there are 150 published research papers, and so they found
Kavita, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself, Kavita. Yeah.
Oh, where did you hear me last?
No, just 2 seconds back. No problem.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, by mistake, I think I pressed mute. So if you see, there was a statistics that came saying that everywhere you hear people saying that only 10% of the women in India have access to sanitary napkins, and I'm so happy that the poll questions that all of you said 50% of women in India have access to sanitary napkins. Hats off to all of you. That is true. 58% of women in India have access to sanitary napkins, of which within that 47% of rural women. I have traveled to the rural areas as well. Rural women have access to sanitary napkins, and 78% of urban women have access to sanitary napkins, and many others are comfortable using the cloth as well. So among these papers, when they found the menstrual pain, they found only 20% of Indian women suffered menstrual pain, while 52% in England and 94%, just imagine every girl, almost every girl in Australia is suffering menstrual pain. And they do not drop out of the schools. Even in India, they're not dropping out of the schools because of menstruation. They are only taking absenteeism. There is 4 or 5 days or 6 days of absenteeism because of menstrual pain. That is happening in UK, if you see. In UK, if you see, around the 20% of the women go through hysterectomy, and 30% in USA. It is much lesser when compared to those countries in India. And because it is all because of Indian food and the Indian traditional systems we follow. If you see, as soon as the woman goes through or the girl goes through the first period, the menarche, we have a tradition. I still remember I attained my menarche in my village, and I used to study in Chennai, but I went to my village and that's where I attained my first menarche. And then there was a big celebration. I suddenly find a lot of things for me to eat coming up every time. And you see, they give this urad dal. There is something that used to be made out of urad dal with ghee and all that. Okay, no problem. Okay, I won't take more than 10 minutes. I know we have to address a lot of questions. So if not today, I'll definitely address it tomorrow. We'll quickly, yeah, especially temples. Oh yes, I have to speak about this. I think Nirja is getting late, right?
Yeah, can we take this up tomorrow? I mean, we can continue probably from here.
Yes, because there is so much to speak about around this.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, probably I will discuss about why we don't go to temples, and why in India we are doing much better compared to others. And these two things, why we are not allowed to touch. These are the questions. Hygiene, reuse of cloth I have addressed. Menopause will be addressed in the end of the session tomorrow. So I hope I have addressed most of the questions except for going to temple, and about from my side about why India is much better compared to other developing and developed countries. So we'll catch up tomorrow. I hope. Yes, Sachin.
Now I have a question here. See,
Yeah.
my wife is there with me.
Okay.
And, So I told her just now कि when you get that your cycle, you need to change this particular your sanitary napkin after every 4 hours. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but she is not agreed with me. It's normal, huh? She will not agree. So she is asking. I told even if there is a pinch of a drop of blood is also there, you have to change every 4
Absolutely.
hours. So
Absolutely. We have to
yeah,
change it.
you have to change it, Vartika.
Any blood exposed I mean, because it is very closely attached to the vagina. And I said the pH factor of blood is much more than the vagina. So it will directly infect. And any blood that is outside will actually cause infection. And that's the reason it is very, very important that we change. Our health is very, you know what, I just recovered from COVID. And I was a little worried if I'll be able to conduct the session. So I was talking to my colleague yesterday. And he said, you know, Kavita ji, I feel that we rent this body and come down to this world, and we have to take care of ourselves and do the best. Truly speaking, I really felt that's a very nice statement he made. This body is given to us, and it's very important that we respect it, we take care of it, and we should be extremely aware, especially during the menstruation. We need to be extremely aware and attend to whatever is required during this period. So Sachin, please you convince your wife and try to tell her the scientific
No, but
process.
she's with me. I will call her and you convince actually. You tell
Yeah,
me.
I'll talk to her offline.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So with this, we will continue the session. Small part of the session. I know, Soumya, I'm going to take up a small time of yours. I request all of you to join on time so that we can complete this as soon as possible. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yes, yes. For me, it's see. I'm almost made it 13 years, but I'm still not aware of that this cycle and how to use this.
Many of us are not. Many of us are learning still.
All those.
Yeah.
Although
Thank
I'm
you so
doing it
much.
for her, but I'm not aware of it. Thank you. It's a wonderful session.
Recorded session, you may have to answer for that, Neeraja.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, thanks a lot. Yes, tomorrow we'll connect and address certain questions, definitely. Thank you, Swarnalata. Thank you, Shravanti. Thank you, Sandhya. All right, catch up tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Please join on time.
So the same link will work.
Yes.
Same link that you used to join today will work tomorrow also.
PCODs we will not be able to cover this time because we have a lot of things. See, because we have to cover in these 2 days. The last day will be guest lecture. Thank you, Durga. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you, Shireen. Thank you. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Sai. All have a good day. Tomorrow we'll catch up.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Kavita.
Nirja, for your time. Thank you, Nirja.
Thank you, Kavita. Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Chandra.